Oscar just took his first ever Formula One hat trick. Pole, win, fastest lap. So naturally the broadcast didn't show it. Instead we got a persistent close-up of Lando's front left tyre, which raises an important question. Is this Formula One or Formula Lando?
G'day, Papaya Koala here. I've got my helmet on, my expectations low, and my sarcasm fully fueled. Reminder, this is parody, opinion, and some Aussie silliness. If you're angry, congratulations, the joke worked. Marhaba, welcome to the chaos, mate. Papaya Koala here, reporting from beautiful Bahrain. Land of glowing sunsets, luxury paddocks, and totally unbiased strategy calls. No sprint race in Bahrain, but the main race has plenty of ways to spice things up, especially if your name isn't Lando. Oscar, who has managed to significantly improve his one-lap pace, qualifies on pole. Lando qualifies 6th and immediately decides the day is ruined for everyone. They line up on the grid, Oscar composed and laser-focused, despite his drinks being a bit slow, which Snake explains is because they did put it in slushy mode. And Lando, in true Lando fashion, manages to misplace an entire Formula One car inside a painted box the size of a bedroom. He wobbles himself out of position, gives the sensors a little kiss, and boom, penalty. The Sheep team reacts like he's been wrongly imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit, lamenting the injustice of a rule that checks whether a car is in its grid slot. Stella, being the ever-faithful high priest of the Church of Lando, marches up to the stewards to appeal it, because of course he does. Would he do the same for Oscar? Maybe. Time will tell, I suppose. Lights out, and they're away! Oscar has a perfect launch, maintains the lead, looks unstoppable. And Lando, pour me radio messages blaming anyone and anything within a 50-mile radius. Lando serves his deserved penalty during his pit stop. It runs a touch slow. A whole 0.4 seconds slower, and the Sheep commentators behave like the pit crew chopped off his leg. Meanwhile, Max has stopped so catastrophically slow he has to fight through half the grid just to rejoin civilization. But apparently, Lando's mild inconvenience is more dramatic. Oscar, still out front and basically invisible to the broadcast. What does the commentary team choose to show us instead? Lando sitting behind Charles. Lap after lap after lap. No movement, no threat, no spark. Just Lando doing what Lando does best, struggling to pass someone in a slower car, while the commentators praise his skill and bravery. A safety car hands Lando a golden chance to reclaim 3rd. Unfortunately, he doesn't manage to pass Charles, and in classic Lando start fashion, he actually loses a spot to Lewis instead. Movement, just not in the intended direction. A little later, in what the Sheep team declare to be brilliant racing from Lando! Lando does eventually get past the slower Forroro of Lewis, but, as has become a Lando tradition, only by taking a scenic detour off track. Charles had already pointed out that Lando had been exceeding track limits repeatedly, apparently without the stewards noticing. Curious how invisible Lando is to race control when breaking the rules. Enter Wise Owl, Lando's incredibly patient engineer, who seems to have better eyesight than the race director. He politely informs Lando that the position should be handed back because even when the stewards miss it, physics and cameras usually don't. Meanwhile, Max is carving through the field like a Ginsu knife demo, wrestling a car that looks like it's driving on ice. This heroic drive receives only a passing nod, because the cameras are, as always, spiritually and emotionally bonded to the Papaya car with the number 4 on it. Eventually, Charles's car develops issues after his engineer changes a setting in a Machiavellian maneuver more typical of Snake Stollard, earning a frustrated,
"What the hell have you done?"
from Charles. This allows Lando to catch up and actually battle with the much slower and now limping Forroro. After many laps of Lando whinging about being pushed off the track, as if he wasn't constantly driving himself off the track all race without any help from other drivers. Lando finally manages to force his way past Charles, on the outside of course, because Lando appears incapable of passing any other way, only to then get stuck behind George, who is also having issues with his car, and transponder problems so bizarre that it looked like he was racing in the car park. There, Lando is stuck and stays stuck, and somehow still receives more television coverage than the race leader. Then Snake does his thing.
Oscar, a safety car now would cost you 3 positions for the soft. We think it could be worth it.
3 positions would lose the lead and even the podium, but it would help Lando get on the podium. So who would it be worth it for? Oscar or Lando? And then the moment. Oscar crosses the finish line for his first career hat trick. Pole, win, fastest lap, and the broadcast doesn't even show it. They were too busy zooming in on Lando's front left tyre like it held the secrets of the universe. Snake Stallard says in a bizarrely unenthusiastic way,
Well done, mate. First time we've won our second home Grand Prix.
flatter than a steamrollered pancake. Oscar, knowing that celebrating his well-deserved win would earn him scorn from the Lando fans in the sheep commentary, simply says, "Yeah, mega weekend, everyone. Mega." Wise Alwill tries to console Lando, who still managed to finish on the podium, despite the poor qualifying and penalty. Nice try. Lando replies in his snarkiest voice, "No, it wasn't, was it?" Oscar dominates by 15 plus seconds, delivers a masterclass, and it's treated like a background process running quietly behind Microsoft Excel. After the race, Spineless Stella gives Oscar some polite praise.
Oscar was very solid in each session and took the car to a deserved victory.
And then immediately pivots to poor Lando, who deserved better, and
The 5-second penalty made his job even harder.
and Fat Rat. Thanks Oscar for winning at their second home track in a way that suggests he would rather eat hot slugs. Gives Oscar a pat so limp it barely qualifies as physical contact until he realises the camera was on the race winner, at which point he engages in an inappropriately constricting hug that Oscar looked uncomfortable with but couldn't seem to extract himself from. Fat Rat resorts to his usual narrative of how Lando totally, absolutely, definitely would have won without that penalty. Sure, mate. And I would have dated Scarlett Johansson if not for geography. And Lando, to absolutely no one's surprise, he behaves like the race was a tragic injustice,
Yes, my mistake. I take accountability.
while simultaneously implying he should have won, could have won, would have won, and basically did win if you squint really hard. Sulky, check. Sullen, check. Energy vacuuming, I'm the real protagonist here, triple check. So Oscar Quokka, calm, classy, blisteringly fast, takes his first hat trick in F1, and somehow the narrative becomes,
But what about poor Lando?
because at McLando, Oscar can win by a mile and still be treated like he accidentally wandered into someone else's happy story. Just a quick note, if this episode feels very Lando heavy and a bit light on Oscar, that's not editorial bias, but it's just reality. Oscar was largely invisible to the broadcast and media coverage in Bahrain, which made it genuinely hard to find anything to analyse, praise or question about Oscar's brilliant racing. But when the cameras don't look your way, the narrative kind of writes itself. Whether that absence is designed to subtly nudge us toward believing there's always one designated hero, apparently they have chosen Lando, but, well, we'll let you decide. But it is starting to feel like a season engineered to make Fat Rat Brown's Lando era happen. And don't forget to like and subscribe, it's free and encouraged, for more warm tyres, hot takes, and absolutely no team orders. Allegedly. And consider joining if you'd like to help Papaya Koala keep asking uncomfortable questions. But Bahrain is over. It's time for bed.